It's going live.
Out like a light.
You're live.
I'm live.
You're live.
Am I live? I'm alive. What's up? What's up, YouTube? It's Rico here, CEO of Ruminations. My first YouTube live, coming to you from our condo in BGC, Fort BGC in Manila, and we were trying to set up for like an hour. Like, come on, YouTube, man, you gotta get your shit to the hotspot from your phone in order to do this YouTube live. But anyways, we got it done. We're on. So I wanted to make this video just reflecting on the webinar that we did. So we did a webinar, two webinars on third. It's Friday here, so it's 8 a.m. Friday in Manila or China, Hong Kong time. 8 p.m. Same thing in Hong Kong time and Manila time, Philippines time. So that would have been like 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then 8 a.m. 8 p.m. on Thursday Eastern Standard Time, and then 8 a.m. on Friday Eastern Standard Time. And it was on the 4 steps to find a high quality manufacturer. It was good, man. It was. I really enjoyed. I've done webinars in the past for Enter China, but it had been like a year and a half, 2 years since I did a live webinar. I'd done presentations. I did a presentation with Global Sources Summit, which I still haven't put the video out on, but I'll put it out soon. The US, we had people from. I feel like I've seen an error message on YouTube Live. What does that say, Luke?
Good.
That's okay. What's the message at the top?
To learn more. Welcome to Go Live Chat.
Oh, okay, perfect. Stop distracting me, YouTube. Yeah, so we had people from Australia, we had people from the US, we had people from Hong Kong, we had people from China, we had people from South America, people from Europe, like all over Europe, Germany, London. Like it was just such an eclectic mix of people, which is awesome. Like, I mean, of course, when you host these, when you do live events in person, it's difficult to get so many people from around the world because travel schedules, the cost of going to another country, all that stuff. So doing a live webinar is such a fantastic way to connect with people from around the world. Sorry, I just want to change. Luke, you might want to post on.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, you post it, yeah? That we're live.
Post a quick story.
So this is the behind the scenes. This is the stuff that would have been cut if you guys were watching one of my normal videos. Yeah, so like I said, and we had a very interactive audience as well. So specifically, there's some people like Scott Case, Omar, Bali, who's a big fan of the YouTube channel.
Hey, Josh.
Jai Josh, who else? Who's a big fan of the YouTube channel.
Hey, Josh.
Jai Josh, who else? Cleopatra, Lawrence Barnes, who else? Carson Fitzpatrick, Kilpatrick. I feel like there's one more person that we're forgetting about.
Omar.
I already mentioned Omar.
It'll come to us.
Okay. Well, yeah, you probably have to pull up the webinar attendees. But yeah, we had and obviously Mike, my business partner, was on as well. He was able to interact with the audience. So I just wanted to. There's a couple questions that I didn't get to answer when just because of time constraints and things like that. I mean, it was literally each webinar was over 2 hours long. And that's because we had like my actual presentation, it was about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. And then there's the introduction before. And so all in all, it comes out to the hours. And there was one question I think Scott Case asked. And he was just asking, like, have we ever had any issues with factories? And I mean, the reality is, yes, we have had issues with factories. I think there's always issues with factories. Like almost every fucking order that you do, there's going to be some issues from time to time. It's about how you sort of handle those issues and how you come up with solutions. And I think that's what we do. That's kind of my specialty, is to problem solve. And oh, hey, the production, there's like 20% of the units have this specific defect. Okay, so can we replace those? How long would it take to replace them? Is there a way to fix that defect? Well, our production line is busy. Well, can you work with a partner factory? It's like I'm always coming up with solutions and ideas to fix a situation. We've had I made a video about the $2 million in 2 weeks, the fidget spinner story. With Walmart, that time period, they wanted to get $2 million worth of fidget spinners in the space of 2 weeks. There's hundreds of thousands of fidget spinners, man. Like, there's no single factory that could do that for a client. Like, it's just impossible. Just for them to have the production line 100% dedicated to you when they have other orders is just not a realistic opportunity. And so Walmart wanted to find the biggest factory they could possibly find, or at least the buyer for Walmart. It was like, yeah, let's go get like a fucking big factory that has a production capacity of 5 million fidget spinners every month or whatever. I was like, okay, that sounds like, on paper, it sounds like the right idea, but you're not going to have control over the production, right? Like, for something like this, for us to get these units out within this specific time period, that means that you need to have people on the ground inspecting while the units are being made, so you cut down on the inspection time. And then you need to have dedicated production lines. So like my, again, problem solving aspect was like, it's probably better to collect 2 to 3 smaller manufacturers to make the fidget spinners, because then we can actually take over the factory. Like, we can, when you come to a small factory with an order that there is 5 times the size that they're used to, they're obviously going to be super happy with the order, and then they're going to let you do whatever the fuck you want to do. So we went and we said, look, we've got this Walmart order. This is how many units we're looking to make, and these are our requirements. We're taking over your operations. We're cleaning up your factory, and we need you to work in tandem with 2 other suppliers and ship out these units every 2 days, right? So that's one aspect of it. So yeah. Other major issues that I made a video about this already. It's 5 days in Nantong. This was a factory that we didn't source. It was a factory that our client found and then introduced to us. And it's funny because like 9 times out of 10, if we do have an issue with a factory, it's always because it's a factory that our client was working with already, or they introduced us to this factory. We usually don't have issues with factories that we find. So yeah, I mean, with 5 days in Nantong, our client placed the CrossFit client, Hella Fitness. They placed an order with this factory, and then like we ended up being, I think they placed the order in like October or something like that. We ended up being like 3-4 months late on the delivery, and we went into Chinese New Year. The factory was promising that the goods would be out before Chinese New Year. Goods didn't get out before Chinese New Year. So after Chinese New Year, I flew to, and by the way, one of our employees flew there. Mike flew there before, and then after Chinese New Year, when the production was finally completed, I flew out there to Nantong, and I went to that factory, and yeah, I was there for 5 days inspecting all the units that they had, counting, just making sure that all the goods were actually made and that they were made properly and all that stuff. It was not a fun experience, man. Like I was like, no, I never want to work with this factory again. And then ironically, 2 years later, I ended up working with the factory again because one of our recent clients has been working with that factory for 4 years. Same issues. Everything's delayed always. They've expanded their operations, but it's just always the same issues. And those issues come from the top of the factory, comes from the factory boss. Not being very systematic in his approach when it comes to running the business, not really caring about improving. So that's one of those things. Do you have other questions?
The other one I forgot was Stefan.
What did Stefan say?
He was,
Stefan was one of the active.
Yeah.
There were 2 Stefans though.
I'm pretty
talking about STF?
Yeah.
By the way, guys, if you want to catch the webinar replay, Luke, I don't know if you can put the link in the chat or something.
Yeah.
If you want to catch the webinar replay, we're going to put the link in the chat, but we're also going to put it in the description. The webinar replay will be up for 7 days, so we're going to take it down next week, Saturday. And then there's also the exclusive offer from the webinar, which is if you go to sourcefinasia.com/webinar, sourcefinasia.com/limited-offer. So limited-offer. That's going to be, the offer is going to be taken down Monday at 8 p.m. Just thinking, what else could I talk about from the webinar? Are you pulling up the questions?
Yeah.
I think it's fine if you just like actually open the questions up on the laptop. Like it's fine. See, this would have been so much easier if I was streaming on my phone and then I was looking at my laptop right now. That was the original plan, guys. So, it's behind the scenes. So you might be thinking I'm on vacation in the Philippines, but I'm not. Like we've been grinding. Like literally, this is the first time that we've been to the swimming pool, and I've been here for like 10 days. So it's funny. And I mean, if you've watched some of my previous videos, you know that I kind of plan on moving connections. Like I already locked in a couple customers since I've been here. Of course, we got a couple sales from November as well. So just heavy grind, and then there's going to be a lot of content focus. I've also been doing Muay Thai, kickboxing. That was one of my goals for the year. Actually, was to do some form of mixed martial arts for a month. Mixed martial arts for a month. So I signed up for Muay Thai classes when I first got here, and I've done I've done Muay Thai before, but at this stage, I think I did like 2 to 3 weeks left. Do we have anything?
Yeah, we have a question from Juliet. Says the challenge is freight services.
I think I answered that on the webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you answer the one for a first-time visitor in China? Which city or region
For first time, which city or region should you go to? No, I don't think I did.
has the best manufacturing for hair/beauty?
No, I did.
Yeah.
Guangzhou is what I said. Guangzhou has the biggest hair and beauty market in the whole of China, probably the whole world. Yiwu is another option. But yeah, I did answer that.
Do all manufacturers provide OEM and ODM services?
No, I didn't answer that. No. So, yeah, I mean, the answer is no. The answer is no. End of story. Yeah, no, because at the end of the day, for a factory to make original design means they have to have engineering expertise. Whereas a factory can develop that just replicates other products, and they don't necessarily need to have professional engineers to do that. They could literally just buy injection molding machinery and then have the molds made somewhere else, and then just put the fucking mold in their machine and make those products. So they don't for OEM, if they're replicating something that already exists, they don't need to necessarily have engineering expertise. Of course, they do need to consult with engineers to start a factory, but they don't need it.
We have one person here.
We have somebody on.
Yeah.
Oh, we have one. Welcome. Hey, who are? Can you introduce yourself? Can you write something? So I don't feel so lonely. What else? What other questions do we have?
What are the benefits of launching a business in China and Asia as opposed to just building products
overseas.
Yeah, and launching them from the US.
Okay. Go back to the stream. What are the benefits of
Oh, two people now.
2P? Oh, yeah, man. It's picking up, man. It's picking up. Serious business over here, man. You guys missed a lot. Like I was talking about my life, my personal life. What are the benefits of launching products from China versus doing it from overseas, right?
Yeah.
Somebody wrote something.
It says, sorry I missed the webinar. Will there be a replay?
I just answered that question. Yes, there is a replay. Did you put the link to the replay in the chat? Copy it. I can copy it on my phone, and then you can paste it directly.
Yeah.
Wait 1 second, guys. We're gonna post the webinar replay link. Okay, you can probably command paste.
When you send it,
No, I copied it on my phone, so you should be able to paste it on the MacBook. My phone and the MacBook are connected.
What is it? Connect or
Command P, I think. No. What just happened? All right, I'm coming over. I'll get this. It's command V. Sorry. Oh, the Bluetooth is off. Adam Wale. Oh, I remember seeing you register for the webinar. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get you the webinar replay link. One second. All right, I'm going to send it to you on Slack. Maybe what you should do is make a bit.ly link. Well, not to track it, but it's also going to be a shorter link than the Wistia link. Can you adjust the camera? Somebody else wrote a comment.
Adam. Thanks, dude.
All right.
I think it was a good.
You think?
Oh, it just says showed quite late in the UK time, so it'll be good to check it out.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna sort out the link. Switch the camera. So that's being in another country. I'll give you just an example. So my Harrison Bevins, he's been on the YouTube channel a bunch of times. I've been on his channel. He's got a YouTube channel. Harrison Bevins is the name of the channel. 3 weeks to a month. It's the longest holiday in China. It's the one opportunity that a lot of factory workers get to see their family. So like a lot of the factory workers are migrant workers. They might be from, let's say, northern China, but they're working in southern China. And, you know, basically if you're from northern China and you're working in southern China, like it's a 6-hour flight to fly across the country. It's very expensive, takes a lot of time. They're factory workers, so they're usually working 6 days a week. They don't really have time or peace out, and sometimes they don't ever come back to that factory. They might get a completely new job. But it's the largest migration in the world of people, and it happens every year around January, February. So as you can imagine, a lot of factories get super busy before Chinese New Year, and then a lot of people that are experienced with sourcing from China, they place large orders before Chinese New Year, and they want to get the stuff out before Chinese New Year, right? Because they know that even when the factories reopen, let's say Chinese New Year is January 15th, till February 15th, right, or February 10th. Even when the factories reopen, they're not going to be up to speed until the end. Crazy large orders 2 months before Chinese New Year. That's really the smart move to do it, is make sure that you have enough stock to last you a couple months after Chinese New Year. So Harrison found a product that he wanted to sell on Amazon, sourced it, found the factory 3 weeks before Chinese New Year. It was a pre-existing product. He just said, look, if you can just print my logo on the label, I will come to your factory. I will inspect the products the same day, and I'll also pay you in R&D, on the same day. So, and then if they could if you can ship the products out the next day, that would be fantastic. So that's what he did. He went, because he lived in China, right? He found the factory in Foshan, which was about an hour. It's like 1,000 units or 500 units, whatever. Paid them straight up in cash. They shipped out the products the next day, and he was able to launch a new Amazon product, and which actually became a very successful Amazon product for him, and he's now selling his Amazon business. So that is the advantage of being physically in China. It's like things just move much quicker. Can you imagine if he was in the States and he found this factory 3 weeks before Chinese New Year? One, he would have had to order the samples to be shipped to the US. That would have taken a week. That would have cost him $60, $50. He would have inspected the samples. Then he would have had to communicate to the factory that he likes a sample. Let's move forward with the order. Then he would have had to create a contract. He would have had to send a wire transfer to the factory. He would have the wire transfer would have probably taken 3 to 5 days. Then he would have had to send an inspection company to the factory. That would have also taken a couple of days. You've already lost. It's 2 weeks past. You're not getting those products before Chinese New Year. You're not getting them into Amazon before Chinese New Year. So that is the advantage of physically being in China. Luke, what are the comments in the chat?
Adam is saying, I used to source and import to the UK in my job some 10 years ago without using Alibaba. I recently placed my first Alibaba order and could not believe how easy it was in comparison. I've also learned a lot from YouTube.
Nice. So
more than my boss ever taught me. I like that.
Is that what you're gonna be? Is that what you're gonna be writing in chats yourself in the future?
Oh,
It's like, I learned more on YouTube than I learned from Rico. Yeah, I mean, I would love to know more about the process of sourcing in the UK, but yeah, I think China this is one. It's actually a good point, because one of the questions we had on the webinar was like, and even on the Enter China group chat was, hey, is it better to source this product from outside of China versus in China? And the reality is, like, man, like, China has been doing this for 30 plus years. They figured out how to take products from point A to point B. They figured out the manufacturing process. They figured out how they can still be profitable even when making a small order. So that's the biggest thing when you're dealing with factories like that are outside of China, is they don't know, like, they want large orders, because in order for them to like cover their expenses and the manufacturing costs, they need like massive scale orders. And China used to be like that. Like, China used to have requirements. Like, if your order was small, they wouldn't even talk to you, right? But they figured it out. They figured out how to systemize their production, and they figured out how to systemize shipping and make it inexpensive while still fast and high quality. A good example is, and Luke was shocked about this. Luke is our marketing intern. We have a video where I introduced him to the Social Asia YouTube channel. But he was shocked about this. Like, there's a time in the office, it happens from time to time, I forgot something at my apartment. So I asked my friend to call like the SF Express to pick up something from my apartment and ship it to my office. It takes, granted, my apartment and my office are like 15 minutes apart, but it would take them 20 minutes to go pick up whatever it was, maybe my gym bag or something like that, ship it to my office in 20 minutes, and the charge was like $1 or $2. Like, that's, I don't see that happening anywhere else besides China. And in general, even just normal shipments, if you're shipping from Beijing to Guangzhou, that's a day and a half, and it's going to cost you $2 to $3 at the most. Do we have any more comments?
This one.
Yeah. Can you pull up the questions?
Yeah.
Adam, by the way, I think I mentioned this before, but I don't know if you were on there. So, like, if you go to sourcefineasia.com/limited-offer, that's the like the exclusive deal we're giving to people that attended the webinar, and that ends Monday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I had a question from Adam. Or should take advantage of while in Asia.
Besides manufacturing and factory stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's an easy question, man. Like, because I mean, look at me right now. I'm in the Philippines, right? Like, we have 2 employees in the Philippines who do our video and podcast editing. So the Philippines is a lower cost of living and lower labor cost, and they have a very high college educated population. Like the rate of college educated people here is very high. And on top of that, I think it's the 4th largest English speaking population. But they don't need necessarily a higher hourly rate because the cost of living in the Philippines is lower than Asia. Is finding, employees and people that are experts in their field, but don't charge you a ton of money to do what they do. What else? I mean, besides manufacturing, I mean, China is obviously right now they have a heavy focus on developing their tech business, the tech industry. They're trying to become the next Silicon Valley. So, if you are in the tech space and you have maybe, let's say, an IoT product, I think China is a fucking fantastic place to be right now. Like for you to go and because you can get government grants, you can get a ton of money from the government to develop tech, and then just like you're gonna be, especially if you have a physical product, you're gonna be a leg above the competition because a lot of these Silicon Valley companies are basically like developing the tech and prototypes in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, and then they're sourcing from China, but they're not in China physically. Like, so the process is so much slower and much more difficult. Whereas if you have an office in Shenzhen, and then you also have an office in Silicon Valley, like the turnover of having a discussion with the team, getting that turnover is much higher. It's much quicker. What else? Give me, I'm out here in like Gary V, and then I'm DJing at the same time. Multitasking. Yeah, I mean, we had a ton of questions for the webinar, but I answered most of them during the webinar, during the Q&A. So if you want to check that out, like I said, the replay, you're going to have the link in the description, and I should have the link in the chat as well. I feel like you should pan the camera to show like, I mean, this is an awesome view, but I want people to see the city. Be careful though.
You can just tell. Just tell.
Huh? Just tell them? Tell them what? This is BGC Fort Victoria. Huh? Just tell them? Tell them what? This is BGC Fort Victoria. It's the city. This is BGC in Manila. This Makati. I have a video about this. There's Makati, Ortigas. Where else? Poblacion, which is also in Makati technically. Mandaluyong. Any other questions I should answer from the webinar? Or I guess I covered everything.
Yeah, there was.
How long have we been streaming for?
31 minutes.
Wow. Time flies.
Yeah, like you've already covered vetting,
Most of the stuff.
factory pricing, ensuring proper quality control.
Somebody asked, I think it was Cleopatra, and she signed up for one of our sourcing reports, which is the exclusive offer that we're giving. The sourcing reports are essentially what we do is like it's the whole method that I talk about in the webinar. We do research on suppliers and we vet the best factories, and we give the best 3 to 5 options. So the process is we contact 30 to 50 suppliers. We have a whole structure in terms of how we communicate to the factories, what we're looking for when we research on Alibaba, global sources and stuff, and how we vet them from the initial responses to the emails, the questions that we ask them, the the perspective that we have when we're talking to those factories. And then I also talked about the documents that we have to have with the factories. So it's NDA, sales agreements, exclusivity agreements, all that stuff. And then I also talked about how we sort of manage factories beyond, signing that initial contract and placing a deposit for mass production and ordering samples is a new comment. So that sourcing report service, we have an exclusive deal for people that watch the webinar. And we also offer a sampling service. We also offer a sampling service, which is a separate fee, typically. Typically, we charge $100, $150 for the sampling service, but we threw that into the sourcing reports as one package at no additional cost. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely check it out. And then what else was I talking about? The sourcing reports just before that, the webinar.
Sample consolidation service?
No, just before I started talking about the sourcing reports.
I'm not sure.
I'm blanking. Anyways, but I like that's basically what the offer was on the webinar. And then I mean the whole process that I teach there is something that can be replicated by anybody. It's not complicated. It just takes a lot of work to do. And like I said, we answered most of the questions. We had a long Q&A on the second webinar that we did, so we answered a lot of, which is the one that's actually I think that was what I was trying to reference, is that if you watch the webinar replay, the Q&A process, the Q&A at the end was like 20-30 minutes. We had a very interactive audience, which is awesome. Do we have any other questions then?
No, everyone's left now.
Everyone's good. All right. I guess I'm signing off. So yeah, guys, thank you for this is my first YouTube live. Let me know if you want me to do more stuff like this. It's a little bit easier when I'm in the Philippines because internet, open internet. But I could still do this kind of stuff in China. It's just didn't really see the point before, but I think we're getting to a stage where we have enough subscribers between the YouTube channel and our email list and the podcast that this could make sense. And yeah, if you want to reach out to me, it's sourcefinasia.com/contact us. If you want to check out the webinar replay, like I said, it's going to be in the link is going to be in the description below. If you want to take advantage of the webinar offer at sourcefinasia.com/limited dash or limited hyphen offer. And I'm signing off, man. I'm getting ready to go swimming. So see you guys. What if I just fucking ripped my clothes off and jumped into the pool?